The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Hot Takes with me, hosted by the Murph Man, where life gets real and the mic stays hot. That's right, your favorite is experienced, yeah. That's smart and funny guy. From classroom shock to comedy clubs, Murph Man breaks it down with brainy thuds. Parenting stress or college mess, he's been through it all, no need to guess. Insights are sharp and data's tight. Rants are ready and the jokes are light. Hot takes, real talk, keeping it true. From high school halls to podcast cues, laugh a little, learn a lot. Turn it up, this show is hot. Honest, funny, maybe loud. Never scared to stand out proud. When life gets real, the mic stays warm. Hosted by the dad with lots of charm. Insights are sharp and data's tight. Alerts already and the jokes are light. Hot takes, real talk, keeping it true. From high school halls to podcast cues, live a little, learn a lot. Turn it up, this show is hot. Grab your coffee and let's get into it. No filter, no props, just real talk. Let's do it. Ready or not, here we go. It's time for Murphland to start the show.
In a world drowning in data and dread, two men rise, not as saviors or scholars, but as the Murph Man and Connor. Witness their journey as they navigate the treacherous waters of, well, whatever they feel like talking about. Prepare for Hot Takes with the Murph Man, where opinions are strong, facts are optional, and personal experiences are the name of the game. They're not experts, but they play them on this show. Their passion isn't a performance, it's who they are. And sometimes that authenticity means a little adult language might slip out. They apologize for that ahead of time, promising to keep it minimal, but their reactions are always genuine. Now grab your coffee, sit back, and enjoy the show. Here are the Murph Man and Connor.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's episode is episode 4. We're going to be talking about the digital footprint and teaching teens to navigate social media. But first, it's time to ignite the fuse. Episode 4, the digital footprint, teaching teens to navigate social media wisely. You know, one of the things, Connor, a lot of people don't realize is when you have stuff online, it's there forever. It's there forever. So it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself, you know, are you aware of what your digital footprint is? And I'll tell you right now, you know, we're going to tackle this crucial topic in just a second, but let's get started with the burning question.
Here's this week's question that's going to get you thinking and, hopefully, get you involved. What is the single most important rule to teach a teenager about their digital footprint? The options are A. Always get permission before posting. B. Don't post anything you wouldn't want a future employer to see. C. Only post positive things. D. Keep everything private. I'll give you a chance to think about the answer.
All right. So what do you think the answer is, Connor? Always post, get permission before posting. Don't post anything you wouldn't want a future employee to see. Only post positive things or keep everything private.
Don't post anything you wouldn't want a future employer to see. B.
Very good. It is. Let me tell you, later on, we're going to talk about Sarah and our story, from the fire, where we talk about her not able to get into college, and we'll talk about that later. But you got to ask yourself, think about this. Have you ever been at work with somebody, you meet them, and what's the first thing you do? You go check out their social media, right?
Yeah.
You go check them out and you see what kind of things they post, right? So imagine your employer doing that. Now, on Instagram, I know you don't have any posts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have anything you're posting, so that's not a big deal. But what about those people that do have something that they posted? Do you think they're going to regret that later?
Maybe.
Okay, we never know, right? We never know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that you got to ask yourself to be really careful about, because you never know who's watching and who's going to see what. So we got to keep that in mind, all right? Because you never know who's going to be watching you or anything. So anything you post online can be seen by anybody at any time. And that is your digital footprint. And now, I want to dive into the idea that's bold and clear, and it might just get a little controversial. It's time for the hot take of the day.
A digital footprint is a public record that never goes away and can follow a person for years, impacting their future.
A digital footprint is public record that never goes away. That is the main thing about today. It never goes away. What I've done is I have a personal profile and I have my public profile. And on my personal profile, I've been very careful who I add to that, because I don't want everyone to see what I have posted. So periodically I go back and I make all my posts private. I don't know if you could do that, like on Facebook. On Instagram, you have to delete it. But on Facebook, you can actually go in there and just put everything private so no one can see you. So it's one of those things that you don't realize you need to do it, but I just do it like every few months because I want to make sure everything's private. Now, my public profile, yeah, everything there is, like if I do my Quizmaster stuff, I can take pictures of people. I go to events, things of that nature. So those are the things I post. I don't care about it being public. But some of my jokes would not be appropriate. So it's one of those things that we got to be really careful when we're out there, because you never know who's going to watch what we've done. And it's a hard thing. It's a very hard thing to realize, because you never know what's going to be out there. So just be careful what you post, And I know, like on Instagram, you don't post much, so that's good. But sometimes we share stories. And a good example right now is, and I'm not talking about politics, I'm not going to get into it, but there's been a lot of people that are afraid to post a lot of political stuff for fear of retribution from their employers, from their friends, from everything. So it's one of those things that you got to be really careful what you even share. I shared something one time. I had a friend of mine come back and go, "Oh, you're just against this." Like, no, I just thought it was a funny joke. There's humor out there. There's stuff that's funny out there. And whether you agree with it or not, who cares? First Amendment, right? First Amendment, you get to talk about whatever you want. But like we said last week, every choice has
a consequence.
Very good. Everything has a consequence. So ask yourself this, are you prepared for the consequences of whatever you share online? And here's a good example. When you first got social media, Connor, what was some of the rules that I gave you?
One was you need access to my phone.
I need access to your phone because he was a minor.
I have to tell you if I'm going to post anything or what I'm seeing.
Yeah. And then what about online with Xbox? I would get your emails. You have been banned for 1 week.
That is true.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you called someone stupid and they reported you. Or I don't know. I don't say what you said, right? But
Yeah.
I think it was something stupid with another expletive behind it. And I'm like, come on, dude, you're a minor. You shouldn't be saying those things. You know. But before we dive any deeper and go into this, I want to talk about laying the codes and cover cut some key terms with you.
To make sure we're all on the same page, we'll lay out some key definitions and give you the context you need. Digital footprint. This is the permanent record of everything a person does online, including social media activity and search history. Digital citizenship. This refers to responsible and respectful behavior online, such as being kind and protecting personal information. Online reputation. This is how others perceive a person based on their digital presence.
And that's right. We already talked about digital footprints. So let's talk about some of the other terms here. We got digital citizenship, referring to responsible and respectful behavior. Now, I know you're not on Facebook. It's for old guys, old geezers, us boomers, right? But when you post on Instagram, people reply to your stories, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah. They heart them or they hate them or they sad cry or whatever, right? They put fire or whatever the case may be. But have you ever posted a story and you got negative comments on it?
No.
No? That's good. Because a lot of people are like that. They're just haters out there. You know, we have people out there just posting stuff and not really, they do it for themselves. Ask yourself, do you post for yourself or later? And I'll give you an example of that too. Someone posted one time, I want to save this recipe for later because they wanted to cook it. Sounds fair, right? Then someone writes, oh, that's disgusting. Who cares? Who asked you? You don't have to, you don't want to see that? Don't post. Don't respond. Don't do anything. Or recently we had a friend of ours post a little video that he made on AI, and he got so much flack for it. I was like, come on, it's just funny, you know? Have a sense of humor out there. You know, not everything has to be offensive. You think about the movies that you've seen. I've made you see some crazy movies. If you think about movies that you've seen that could not be made today, what would you think of some of those movies?
That can't be made today would be like Time Cop, I would say.
Why wouldn't we're talking about being appropriate? Why wouldn't Time Cop be?
So you talked about
Like people being rude online. So like movies that are rude that you wouldn't be able to make today because we got away with it back in the 80s. That shows it's not scripted. We're live. Blazing Saddles.
Which one was that one again?
The one with the sheriff who's black, and they are trying to tear the city down, and they're trying to stop him from making the train go through. The Mel Brooks movie. You remember that one? Well, I'll remind you and see if you remember about it. You were probably about, I don't know, 11 or 12 years old. And it's funny because when you were watching the movie, you got offended because they were so racist in that movie. Okay? You were so offended. And I said, Connor, keep watching the movie because you'll see that they're making fun of racism. And after a while, you got the jokes and everything, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not something that happens all the time. So, you know, that's the relationship we talked about. You know, the movies that were made back then are not okay now. So us boomers who were okay saying stuff like that back then, nowadays people get offended by what we're saying. All right. So it's something we have to be very careful of. Right. We have to be very careful because it was okay then, it's not okay now. There's some jokes that I've said that are very, very inappropriate. And I know it's one of those things that are not okay today. Mel Brooks with Blazing Saddles. Spaceballs, okay? There was a lot of sexual innuendo in that movie, right? They're making a Spaceballs too. Do you think they're going to have those same kind of jokes?
Maybe.
There's the movie History of the World. They came out with part 2, and part 2 was a series. I didn't like that one so much, but because they couldn't make the jokes from before, because people would get offended, they would get canceled. It's called cancel culture. I'm sure you know about that, right?
Yeah.
You know, what about comedians who made jokes back in the 80s that were totally funny? Eddie Murphy's a good example of that. Made fun of gay people. Today, you do that, you're canceled. But it's just times have changed, you know? So think about that when you're posting stuff online, all right?
Yeah.
And then you have your online reputation, how people perceive you. That's so important because the way they see you it's one of those things that we have to really be aware of. And if you're not aware of it, it'll come back on you. So when we come back, I'm going to tell you the story about Sophia and why she not get into her first choice of college. Okay.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Where have you gone? Who took them from us? Who stole them from us? Sacred flowers. Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Blooming life on the res, bringing light to our lives. You are missing your mist. Sacred flowers.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And we're back. You know, like I said, what's a good discussion without a story? To illustrate the impact of a digital footprint, let's talk about Sophia, who didn't get into college.
Today's story from the fire is about Sophia, a high school senior, who was not accepted into her first choice for college after the admissions team found inappropriate jokes she made on Twitter a year prior.
Yeah, poor Sophia. You know, she's up there and she's trying to get into college and everything. And they actually reviewed where they, you know, their students. So, you know, she made a post one time on Twitter. Back then it was Twitter, it's X now, right? But she made a post without even thinking about how inappropriate it was or what kind of a joke or who would be offended. You know, right now we just watched the video about Native Americans and things that are going on with them. That is not a topic people talk about a lot. The women who are being kidnapped and dying. We happen to have that here in El Paso, in the Juarez area. There's been hundreds, if not thousands, of women who've disappeared, and they find their, you know, they never find their bodies or anything. And that's pretty scary, you guys. You know, human trafficking is real. So, you know, watch what you post because you never know who's going to be watching, who's going to be seeing it, who's going to be doing what with it. And you just want to be really careful with all of it because you never know. You know, it's one of those things that when you have the social media, you know, that social responsibility, you have to post something that's appropriate. And, you know, I can tell you, I'm not the most appropriate person in the world. That's one reason we have our disclaimer. Because sometimes we do say inappropriate words, right? But we also say inappropriate things to each other sometimes. And we think it's funny. But other people, they're like, what? That's not good, right? You know, and it's one of those things that I never really worry about it because I just do me. You know, my friends know who I am. You don't know who I am really, but I have a professional career. You know, I'm a teacher. I've been a counselor. I speak at different places. So I have a reputation I have to keep up. But at the same time, part of that reputation is being funny and inappropriate. And I will tell you, if anyone ever gets to see my videos online of me doing stand-up, I don't curse one time, right, Connor? Have you noticed that? I don't say one curse word. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how inappropriate am I?
An 8.
An 8.
An 8.
Without saying any curse words. It's just the material that I cover, right?
Yeah.
And like the owner of the comic strip locally was like, you know, Murph, man, you're funny, but you're not appropriate. You got to be clean. If you ever want to be famous, you got to start clean. And I'm like, nah, screw it. And I have tried to be clean. I can't be funny clean, you know. Although here I can make jokes and everything. I'm talking about stand up and everything. You know, my history, bringing up when I was brought up, my childhood was very different, and I'm very open minded. So I really don't let things bother me so much because of the things I've been through. You know, I was also in the military. I was in the Army for 8.5 years. And well, 10.5 if you include my reserve time before I went active. And you know, soldier, you've heard of sailor's mouth? Yeah, it's a soldier's thing too. We just curse. It's just part of who we are. And then one thing that I will tell you is football teams. You know, can you imagine being in a family that never curses or anything growing up, and then you join a football team and the coach curses his head off? How would you feel if you were never exposed to it and then you went to a team and the coach cursed? How would you feel about that?
I would feel not offended, but I would be like, wow, that
Right.
that like Bird, yeah.
But now, as an adult, if you go, let's say you go play football at UTEP, right? Um, and the coach curses at you, you're gonna be like, "Hell yeah, let's do this," right?
Yeah.
You know, because it's a part of the culture. Doesn't mean it's right. I'm not saying it's okay to curse, but in certain situations, it's more acceptable than others. Can you imagine if I came on here and I just started cursing up a storm? Nobody would want to hear that, would they? Right? No. But on the disclaimer, we talk about it being an authentic response. That's exactly what it is. And when I make fun of Connor and he responds to me, like, go to hell, I don't get offended. I'm like, ha, that's funny. Or we have a thing about flipping the bird. Um, I gotta tell you, at work, one of the games we used to play, I think I've told you this, we used to try to flip each other off in front of the boss without the boss seeing us, trying to make like the other person break character and joke and everything, and that's just something we did at work. And was that appropriate? No, by no means was that appropriate. But it was funny, it was funny. And that's what mattered. We were being funny. So, sometimes you got to put aside all that stuff and be more appropriate when you're in a professional setting. But the thing is, when you're being yourself online and you just post stuff because it's just funny, you never know who's going to see it. You never know who's going to see it. And in Sophia's case, she lost her first college of choice because they went to her Twitter and they saw that she posted something inappropriate. I'm not going to talk about what it was because it was inappropriate, right? But Sophia was really upset. She was like, how do they go and read social media? That's not fair. And I'm like, no, it's not. But understand that you posted something that was inappropriate. And at the time you thought it was funny, but now you don't. And I'll give you an example here. All right. Connor, I don't think you have any plans to ever become president, right?
No.
All right. But let's just pretend you become famous. All right. How would you feel if one day they're interviewing you and they're like, tell us about your dad? Do you think what he said was appropriate? Do you think what he does is appropriate? And if you're embarrassed of me, which I don't think you are, but if you're embarrassed of me, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I mean, I would tell them straight up, just it's the way we talk. But he could get a little too much sometimes with people that are not used to the way we talk.
Yeah. You know, um, I know this hasn't happened to you yet, but I was a counselor, college professor, and it's really weird when you're out there at the bar having a beer and a student walks up to you and goes, "Hey, remember me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah. How you doing?" When I was doing one of my quizzes the other night, I had this guy come up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're the teacher that teaches psychology, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, he goes, "Oh my God, I remember you." And I said, "Oh, I hope it's all for good things." He goes, "Yeah, mostly." And I said, "I hope you learned at least something in my psychology class." And he tells me, "I am now a sports medicine doctor and I do psychology. I'm a psychologist and I work with sports figures to make them overcome their issues." And that was because of me. And at the same time, I'm like, how many people have actually gone to psychology class and said, "I don't want to do this anymore," because of the true stories I told them, the real things. Sometimes people don't want to hear the true things. Um, but trying to change who you are, we never know who we're going to be in the future. We never know who we're going to become. And a perfect example of that is Veronica Escobar. She's our representative here in El Paso. I went to high school with her. Really nice person, always responsible, never had any issues with her. But since she was young, she was always appropriate. And she never got herself in trouble. She never did any of the bad stuff. And now she's the state representative for us. Um, you never know who you're going to be down the road. I can tell you in high school, I was a drunk. My last 2 years of high school are a blur to me because I was always drinking. I don't remember my last 2 years of high school. Connor can tell you how many people have signed my yearbook, Connor.
A lot of people.
A lot of people, right? Like a few hundred, maybe. I even had to add extra pages added in. Almost every page has something written.
Yeah.
But I look at that and I'm like, I don't know anybody. I don't remember anybody. There's a few people I remember, like Veronica and Lorena and a few other people, some of my friends, Robert, Gilbert, But to be able to um, look back on that and say, I wish I would not have done that. Well, that's who I was back then. I was an alcoholic at 18, not anymore. All right. But I graduated high school with no plan. I got to I think it was March of my senior year. And I was like, I'm going to graduate high school. What am I going to do with my life? I said, I'll join the army. Join the reserves. I came back. I said, I'm going to go to college. But I was still drinking. I was still partying. And I didn't do too well. So I didn't go to college. And I decided to go active duty for a while. And then as active duty, and I've told you the stories, I would drive hours to go to school and whatnot. But I learned what it was to be responsible. But does that change who my personality is? No. I'm still going to be silly. I'm still going to be stupid. I'm still going to be inappropriate because that's who I am. And I'm okay with that. And if I apply to a job and I don't get it, that's fine. I don't care, because I would not apply to a job where my history would matter. If that makes any sense. I mean, college, I have to keep a face up. I'm appropriate now. My bosses, anywhere I've ever worked, I've told them who I am and what I do. And, it's my time when I'm off duty. How crazy I want to get. I'm not, and again, not talking about being drunk and driving or breaking the law, none of that stuff. Just stupid, silly stuff. Getting on stage and saying inappropriate jokes, right? As a teacher, we have an ethic code we have to actually follow. And sometimes you ask yourself, for those of us who know the teachers, there's some teachers out there that you're like, oh, they're doing drugs or they're inappropriate, they're having affairs, they're doing this and that, You lose your career with that, And so there's a certain point that I'm not going to cross. But it's one of those things that I have to think about now. I can't change who I was, right? But Connor was my son growing up. I told him, careful what you post, careful what you put online. Let me read your messages. Let me make sure you're not doing anything inappropriate. Add me on all your social medias. Because if he's going to have that, I want to make sure he's safe. And right now, with Roblox, you probably know better about this. You can talk about it. Roblox. There's supposedly a bunch of predators trying to meet people there. Do you know anything about any of that?
Only from what I've heard online. So, I mean, on Roblox, there's no setting where you could check your age or anything. So a predator could just lie and say they're like 10 or something. Because there's voice chat, but it's like optional. So you can't really hear what they're saying. They could act like a 10-year-old or something.
Which is the pitch button here?
Low, mid, high, and pitch.
Right, change the pitch, change it high. So even if I do different voices, right, you can change your pitch on the volume now. So it's one of those things you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So even if you have a voice chat, doesn't mean that their voice is the real voice. Nowadays you can change it just that easily.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, I saw a TikTok or reel or something yesterday, and it's a Ring camera, and it's a little kid, and this guy pulls up and goes, "Hey, are you such and such?" Gives him his handle. He goes, "Yeah, that's me. I'm Big Daddy, whatever, whatever." And the mom sees the Ring camera because she gets on her phone, and she comes out there and she's like, "Hey, who are you? What are you doing?" And the guy comes up and he says, "I'm sorry, he invited me here." And she's like, "You're a predator. I'm going to call the cops." Like, no, don't call the cops. He says, he told me you were hot and I had to come meet you. So if you like what you see, how about we get together? And the mom was like, Sure. He goes, can I come inside? She's like, sure. There's a complete stranger in the house. Everyone's looking at that video going, that's funny. The kid's trying to set up his mom, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, who the hell brings their own, strangers into their home? It's like, yeah, it's same video, two very different opinions. So you never know what's going to happen here. All right. But next up, we're going to talk about some common mistakes to avoid in our section, where you're going to get burned.
Here are some common mistakes where you might get burned.
Don't ignore social media. Instead, educate teens on how to use it wisely. Avoid overreacting to mistakes. Use them as teachable moments. Remind them that private doesn't mean invisible, as screenshots can be shared publicly.
I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. We're doing the heat map. I do apologize. We're going to give you some steps so you can, take right now to avoid getting some of these issues. I'm so sorry about that.
That's right. We're not just talking. We're giving you actionable steps you can take right now. Google yourself to see what comes up and manage your online reputation. Set social media accounts to private and review old posts to ensure they reflect the person you want to be. Use the grandma rule to set a clear boundary for what is appropriate to post.
All right, you guys, that is the heat map. We're going to talk about some of those rules that in a little bit, but we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Bar stools and cigarette smoke, where the dive bar band's playing all the wrong notes. Them dollar bills still hanging on the wall. This ain't no place for her kind at all. She had them red bottoms on in this blue collar town. There's only two reasons why girls like her come around. She either took a wrong turn back in Austin, or she's looking for love 'cause she lost it. We were two flames burning, red wine and bourbon, leaning on each other for a little southern comfort, just trying to fit the mood right under the neon moonlight. She was chasing that freedom, love a man, leave him, trying to make her mine by the end of the night. I'm a good line away from her number, trying to keep her from being single this summer. Sunsets and sunrise nights have never been my thing. Hell, they might just be what I need after all. Hell, you can't find love till you fall. You see, ain't used to red dirt roads, but for what it's worth, feel like home in the middle of this old bench seat. Every song brings me closer to me. We were two flames burning, red wine and bourbon, leaning on each other for a little southern comfort, just trying to set the mood right under the neon moonlight. She was chasing that freedom, love a man, leave him, trying to make her mine by the end of the night. I'm a good line away from her number, trying to keep her from being single this summer. We were two flames burning, red wine and bourbon, leaning on each other for a little southern comfort, just trying to set the moon right under the neon moonlights. She was chasing that freedom, love a man, leave him, trying to make her mine by the end of the night.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right. So we were talking about the heat map, giving those actionable steps you can take. So first off, go Google yourself. Go online and type your name in. When you want to find out what's online, and Connor can tell you about this, there's a website called familytreenow.com. Go ahead, type your name into that. Do a search, not only for you, but once you do a search, you find yourself, click on yourself, and you can see all the personal details that are about you that are public information. But also, go in there and type in your address when you can modify it. Type in your phone number and do a search just for that. You would be surprised at the information you can find, right, Connor?
Yeah.
I found one time I was dating this girl, so I do research on everybody. I make sure I'm not going to bring someone crazy into the house. And I went to Family Tree Now, and it said her name, and it said someone else about the same age as her. So when I met her, I was like, "Hey, so who's this person?" She goes, "How do you know that person?" I'm like, I know them. Are you related? And she goes, "Yeah, that's my husband." And I'm like, "Okay, we're done." And she goes, "No, we're getting divorced." I'm like, I'm not going to even bring that drama into my life. Connor can tell you I don't do drama. Now what's funny is later on in campus here, we're going to be talking to my nieces. I'm sure they have stories of people that have caused drama in their life, on social media and stuff. So if they want to talk about that, maybe we can talk about that later. But Google yourself and you'll see all the things that have your name on there. So that's one thing you want to do. I've already talked about this. Make sure you set your social media to private, and don't post anything that's inappropriate. Okay. Reflect the person you want to be. So you can do that. All right. If you're able to do that, you can avoid a lot of hassles there. And the last thing is the grandma rule. They say, don't do anything that you don't want your grandma to see. Right? Good thing she's dead, right? I didn't care. I'm kidding. I do miss Mamacita, but the thing is, we use that grandma rule as a boundary of what would be appropriate to post. Will this person be offended by this? So pick a person in your family that you adore, that you love, and you would not want to offend. And then ask yourself, is this post going to offend that person? You know what I mean? On the other hand, my nieces cannot use me for that, right? Because they're going to be like, oh, Sean's not going to care, right? But one thing I love about the girls is they have a mom that is a very nice, lovely person, and you say stuff to her, and she's like, "Bad boy, you shouldn't be saying those kinds of things," So sometimes I just say stuff like that just to get a reaction from her, which I think are pretty funny, But around their dad and their mom, they're very different than they are with me, and it's just something that we do, and you'll see that later. We'll talk about that, But when we do this, you'll see that we talk a lot and we get along really well, And like I said, we already went over the video, the band, where you're going to get burned. So let's talk about this real quick. Don't ignore social media. Educate teens on how to use it wisely. It's out there, you guys. Everything we log in with right now is logging with Gmail, right? You have to have a Gmail. It's like Google is in charge of everything. They're going to take over the world. Instead of the Terminator, it's going to be called the Googlenator. It's crazy. But you also, sometimes you can log in with Instagram. You can log in with Facebook. So you need social media to be part of society nowadays. Just make sure you use it responsibly. And also, I don't think I've ever gotten angry at you for anything you've written or texted or anything, right? I've told you, hey, some stuff is inappropriate, don't do that. But I don't think I've ever got angry at you.
Nope.
And sometimes I would read stuff and you wouldn't know I read it. And then I would talk to you about stuff without knowing that it was your stuff I was talking about. Yeah. I will tell you something like, I have a friend who has a son who wrote this. Can you believe that? And you'd be like, really? Huh? I was talking about you the whole time. Don't overreact to mistakes, you guys. Make them teachable moments. Have them do that, And most importantly, remind them stuff that's private between two people doesn't mean it's invisible. There's a thing called screenshots. So if you send someone an inappropriate snap, for example, if you guys don't know what snap is, Snapchat. So you send someone an inappropriate snap, they can screenshot it, even though it's gone in 10 seconds or something. It disappears, give or take. Right? Yeah. You can have it disappear, but in those 10 seconds, they can take a screenshot of it. And I had a friend one time, she sent me an inappropriate picture by mistake. She didn't mean to send it to me. She was trying to send me something else, and she clicked on the wrong picture. And I took a screenshot of it because I thought it was funny. It wasn't her naked or anything like that. It was stupid. She's like, why did you take a screenshot of it? Why not? You sent it to me. I thought that was funny. I was going to share it with someone else. And she's like, no, don't be taking screenshots of my stuff. I said, then don't send it to me. It's that simple, But yeah, so remember, you can't ignore social media. It's part of our lives. Don't overreact to mistakes. Make them teachable moments. All right. And it's one of those things that, you got to protect yourself. And the best way to protect yourself is using our heat shields.
Here are some recommended resources to keep you from getting burned. Common Sense Media. High school workshops on digital footprints. Simply Googling your own name.
All right. So some of the things here, like I said, Common Sense Media. Now, have you ever heard that term, Connor?
Common Sense Media? No.
All right. At school, students in the districts here in El Paso are all issued a laptop. So in some cities, they do that. But did you know you have to sign a contract?
No.
Yeah. I have to sign a contract that you're going to use that computer appropriately, that you're going to monitor it, you're going to keep an eye on it. But there's also Common Sense Media. You can go to the website for Common Sense Media, and it gives you common sense tips on how to use electronics and social media. Okay. It's one of those things you can do that will help you learn what is appropriate or inappropriate and how to talk to your kids about certain things. Now, if you're in college, go read it yourself, because you might not realize the kind of things that can happen to you, on media. One thing that I tell people, how many of you have ever taken a vacation? We've taken vacation. What was the longest one we took? 7 weeks? All summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I put down I was going to be gone for 7 weeks from my house? No. Right? I didn't post any pictures of my trip until we got back, because I didn't want people to know I was out of town, because they could have gone and robbed the house. Right? So you don't want to put down, this weekend I'm going to be gone from Friday at 6 o'clock until Sunday at 10 o'clock. I won't be home. No one's going to be home. Come rob me. You can't do that. Right? You can't, you shouldn't, not you can't, you shouldn't say certain things on media. And that's what Common Sense Media tells you. Like, careful what you post. Also, high schools host workshops and on digital footprints. It's one of those things that the schools try to do what they can, but when you invite a kid over, hey, come and learn how to use social media, what's your response, Connor? Stupid.
A little, yeah.
It's necessary, because some people don't have that responsible behavior. They don't have that model of that person talking to them. And of course, we already talked about Googling your name. And now that we've already with some heat shields, I want you to protect yourself. Let's move on to the afterburn.
We'll wrap things up with a moment for reflection. Think about what your digital footprint says about you and what conversations you need to have with your teen.
I think we've been talking about that the whole episode, right? We've been talking about careful what you post, talk, make sure you don't post anything inappropriate. Make sure that everything you do is appropriate and something that's not going to hurt you down the road. You know, that's just something we've been talking about. So think about that. And now it's time for the final burn.
A quick summary and a call to action to send you off with a bang. Remember, a digital footprint is like a tattoo. Make sure it's not something you'll regret.
Oh, tattoos. That is something that people regret, you know, because one of my favorite jokes is, you know, when you're young, you have a little rose on the shoulder, ladies, right? And you're like, hey, check out my little rose or my little phoenix or my little angel wings or whatever, right? But then when you're older, you have to lift your shirt up to show them because it's all the way down here. You know, yeah. People regret their tattoos sometimes, you know. Those wings come on, look like they're hugging around the waist, you know. But remember, don't post anything you think you're going to regret. All right. At this time, you know, like I want you to really think about everything we've been talking about and reflect on it. Ask yourself, what do I need to do going forward? What do I need to do to teach my teen or my kids or my even kids teach your parents? Some parents don't know anything about social media, right? You know, and what conversations you need to have with your teen. All right. Keep that in mind as we go on. And this is going to wrap up our first segment for today. You know, coming up at the break, we'll talk with some college students and see how their first week in school went, including my son and my nieces.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
When I needed help, I wasn't shamed. I was able to get the mental health treatment that I needed. I felt like that really helped me just get out of my own way and become a successful person, become a happy person. Hi, my name is Jess. I was in the Army from 2012 to 2016, and I was a 74 Delta. I'm an immigrant. I felt really honored to be so blessed with certain opportunities and being to live in this country. I wanted to give back. My time in the Army was pretty cool. I just wanted to make sure that I could show up, pull my weight, and be a part of the team. I was sexually assaulted when I was in the Army the first year, and that really shook me up because it was from someone else that was in the Army. We wear the same uniform, we're supposed to be on the same team, we're supposed to have each other's back. Like, how could you do that to me? So prior to seeking mental health treatment, I was drinking a lot. You know, reckless behavior or just running from those thoughts, trying to keep myself busy, and I just wouldn't slow down. I couldn't slow down. After service, before I got mental health help, I was just tired. I felt like I could finally breathe, but I also felt like I didn't have enough energy to even take care of myself. I would drink a lot. I would, you know, smoke. I would just do reckless things, and just each of my vices led me down to a dead end. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was reminded that I am entitled to those benefits. I'm not a burden. And, you know, that's what the VA is there for. You know, I put my pride aside and I made an appointment, and I was just honest and open and willing. And I wanted to have the tools to be able to take care of myself if I am having a bad day. The mental health treatment that has worked for me has been intensive therapy, so talk therapy. I've done cognitive behavioral therapy. And with that, it's just working through my thoughts and my actions and why I think the way that I do, why I do the things that I do, taking that time to slow down and really question why I'm doing what I'm doing has really eased all that reckless behavior or the destructive behavior, because I can't get better and I can't move forward if I'm having my own internal war with myself. The mental health diagnosis that I received was PTSD, depression, anxiety. I would absolutely recommend all women veterans to check out the Women's Clinic. It also helps them learn more about us. There's not very many women veterans that use the VA, so the more that we do the surveys, the more that we go into those clinics, the more they can kind of learn about our demographic and improve treatment for us. I had to learn that not everyone is against me and not everyone's going to hurt me. It means a lot to have friends that can support me through this journey because I know how much it took for me to even get here, and they can see that. I have people that are cheering me on and also there for me during those really hard times too. When I can show up honestly, that connection strengthens and it builds that deeper bond, and I know that they're truly there for me, that they truly love me. It's been great being able to show up better, and I know that they can tell the difference too. I love going on hot girl walks. I love putting on music and walking around my neighborhood. I love playing with my dog. I really love animals, so I'll volunteer. Just try anything and everything. The VA is there. You don't know what you don't know, and they're there to help you. You're worth that effort. The advice I have for women veterans is the sisterhood that you didn't have while in service, you can find that as a veteran. We're all cheering everybody on. Everybody has a seat at the table, and we're stronger together than we are apart.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to the segment of our episode for today. But a quick disclaimer. The opinions and experiences shared in the segment are those of the students we're speaking to and do not represent the views of the show or the host, or any resemblance to college students, living or dead, is purely coincidental. Oh, God. See how they are? See how they treat me? Today we're going to be diving into everything, from viral trends to biggest challenge they're facing. So let's see where we are, you guys. It's time for the campus heat. All right. Welcome to my niece, Jessie. Jessie, how are we doing today?
Doing good. I woke up and got ready. That's a really huge improvement.
That's the first step, right? That's the first step. Waking up.
My roommate loves waking me up. So she came in and was blasting Whitney Houston. She was like singing and she like ripped up, like threw the blanket off me. So yeah, it got me up.
That's funny. So you have a roommate. How's that going?
Currently my roommate, she's out of town. She went to go visit some family. And then my suite mate, both my suite mates, one went out of town, but she came back yesterday, and the other one is in Mexico right now. So it's just me and Haley, or my suite mate. But I lucked out a lot with roommates. Like, we get along so well. Like, we can talk to each other. We have like late moments at night where we discuss everything. We've debriefed everything. We're like just laughing. And I feel bad because someone who lived under us is also our friend. And they told us that they can hear everything and like our loudness, and we're on the 4th floor. So yeah.
That's right. You're on the 4th floor with no elevator.
No,
right?
But
no elevator.
Right. But it's all right because I get stamina on walking, and it's slowly starting to get easier. But there's moments where I'm like out of breath all the time. So yeah.
So it's one of those things that you have to ask yourself. Are you getting in shape? Is it something that's working for you?
The whole campus, since I don't have a car, I walk everywhere, and like just walking from my dorm to like the main campus is like 5-7 minutes, and I have to walk up like major hills, and I probably won't be gaining that freshman 15. I'll probably be losing because it's a lot of walking, honestly.
The freshman 15. Connor, how about your first week? Have you gained 15 pounds yet? Or have you lost?
I haven't weighed myself, but I haven't been eating that much. So I think I lost like 2 pounds maybe.
All right. And what about how much have you been walking every day?
The first day I was so lost. I walked 8.3 miles. And then
dumbass.
It got
Now, why did I say dumbass? You did not go and research where to walk before you toward the campus, right? You said, I know where I'm going.
I did, but I was walking like everywhere. I just didn't know where to go. Because one plate, like during lunch, when I had my like 40-minute gap or something,
Uh-huh.
I didn't know where to go. Like the Union Building was packed, UJOC was packed, um, Centennial Park was kind of packed. I don't know why, but yeah, I just had yeah, I was struggling. I was really struggling. And then I called Kennedy and I was telling her, I was like, I'm sweating, my shins hurt, my ankles are like breaking out. I was on the verge of like falling one time and just like dying from the heat. But yeah, I I I think I lost some weight though for sure. I'm
I'm
getting
sure you
skinnier.
have. I'm sure you have. So how about you, Jesse? You know, you've had your first week of school, it's out of the way, you know.
I
Um, how was the move-in process? How did that go for you? Since Connor lives at
I
home, how
moved
about you?
I moved in pretty quick and I was able to spend family, but then I was able to move in like all my stuff and then like hang all my stuff. I kind of hung up my jeans instead of my shirt, so I still need to fix that. Um, I it was really easy, and then we had like a welcome week, so I was able to like walk around campus and like look for my classes, even though we haven't like a campus map. So I was able to map out my classes, so I know like what pathway I take. So at least
Uh-huh.
Connor could have done that.
Right? He could have definitely done something with that, right?
Hey.
Mhm.
I tried. Does he take my advice? No. Hopefully you guys out there take my advice. You know. You know you didn't. What about I think we have Danica here too. Let's see if we can get her on
Well,
screen.
it's me and Lonica. I'm driving. Lonica's in the passenger seat. So if you want to ask her a question. Hello.
Hi guys. I don't have you on camera because you guys are just doing the audio, but you're welcome to join us and jump in anytime. And Kennedy, if you're there also, you can jump in. All right. So, oh, there she is. Hey. All right. So
Hi.
Kennedy is my oldest niece in this family, not the oldest I have, but among the three of them. And you know, she started. What classes are you taking right now? You're what grade?
Junior. So I'm a junior.
Junior, right?
Taking what's it called? Taking macroeconomics, accounting, a management class, and then a public speaking.
Oh, public speaking, perfect. You can practice here. I
Yeah.
do want to say the reason I asked everyone to be part of it, Danica's here, and a reminder because we talked about it last week, but Danica's here because she's a senior, going to be graduating this year. So I want to get her perspective on what it's like to be a senior and everything she's gone through. I've asked Jessie to be here because she's first-time freshman away from college, away from home going to college. Kennedy actually took a break from college and came back into college, which I'm really proud of you for doing that, Kennedy. You know, and of course you got Connor who lives with me as a freshman.
Yo.
You know, so with everyone here, I appreciate you guys taking your time to be here. You know, I hope we can do this every week. I hope everyone can make it. You know, I know some weeks we have life happen and we can't make it. That happens. You know, but I want you guys, to know you're very welcome here and thank you very much. You know, so I'm going to ask each of you. We'll start off with Connor, then go to Jesse, then Danica and Kennedy last. But what do you think was your biggest challenge this week in school?
Definitely trying to get my books down for every class, and with financial aid, they still need the I need some money because I still have a balance for the parking decal.
Oh, hold on, ladies, give me just a sec. Time out. I got to ask Connor about this so we can talk about it. You guys are going to laugh at this.
Okay.
Last week we mentioned that UTEP students were attacked online. They were getting phishing attacks on their emails and were clicking on links and giving their banking information to people, and people were getting robbed left and right. And so the university decided to just delete everyone's direct deposit information and financial aid and everything. Nothing was deposited. So that got delayed, right? But then we went to go talk to them because we didn't get the scholarship money either. And what do we learn about scholarships, Connor?
I have to write a thank you letter to each scholarship that I got. I had to write a whole 350 to 400 word essay talking about how thankful I am for receiving the money, and how to talk a little bit about myself and why it's important to me.
Yeah, Connor doesn't like to talk about himself too much.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I knew he had to write thank you letters, but I thought it was after we got the money. But no, they want the letter beforehand after you've been awarded the. And I said, oh, okay. So we never got an email or anything, did we?
No.
Yeah. So how were we supposed to know we were awarded, right? But anyway, you wrote the letters, and hopefully that money will hit sometime soon. And I was able to buy him his books and everything. But yeah, so that's one challenge we had to face this week,
I
right?
know, for sure. Yeah.
What about, let's see, Jesse, you're next. What about you?
Okay, sorry. I froze. The first week was honestly not bad. Like I knew where all my classes was. I had my books. Um, Shots fired to Connor. I had my I had my books. I had my classes. It was like what was it? Like I had my first essay like yesterday, so I did that. Like it was due at 12. I think the one thing that's like killing me is the humidity and the mosquitoes. I've been bit like 54 times on my leg. It's so bad.
That's because you're so sweet.
I know.
She's bitter.
Yeah. It feels like sweet. How about you, Danica? What was your challenge this week?
Definitely roommate problems.
Really?
Living in a shared space is not always the easiest. I will say that.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
She basically wrote me a letter requesting for me to move out. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
I don't I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, it's since I have my snake, she told me it's not you, it's the snake.
Oh, so she's scared of the snake.
No, she's not scared of it. Her friends and her mother are scared of it, and her friends never want to come over. So she's really sad that she can't hang out with her friends. And but instead of her moving out, she really likes the room because it has a good view from the window, and the sunset that's really nice on this side of the building. So she was like, "I know you don't care about aesthetic and location. So what if you move out?" And I was like, "Yeah, no."
But she knew about that before
Yeah,
you
she
moved
knew
in?
about the snake the whole time. Yep, she knew about the
But
snake and
her
everything.
friends are the ones that are freaking out.
Yeah, but they're not the
Okay.
ones paying my tuition, so I don't know why it matters.
Well, because they're just not comfortable coming over. People are afraid of snakes. Like, have I ever touched your snake? Have I ever held your snake? Have I ever grabbed your snake? Your chameleon? They have all these animals, you guys. No, not that I'm afraid of snakes, but I don't want to touch them.
Yeah, I mean, and like the snake is in the tank 24/7. It's like locked, like the tank is locked to make sure it doesn't get out. Like, I don't know, and it's not even poisonous either. It's asleep the whole day because it only wakes up at night. So I don't know what her friends are concerned about and her mom, but yeah, it's like she can't stand up for herself or something. I'm not sure.
Well, I hope you guys get that taken care of. Because obviously it's not a great situation. How about you, Kennedy? What was your challenge this week?
I didn't thank God, but I didn't really encounter too many challenges. Honestly, the biggest one is getting used to traffic again, coming from UTEP back to Central, going back to work and just back to the house. I know me and Connor talked about it. He was stuck in traffic. He was straight miserable. It was his first day back, and he was and I was like, yeah, traffic gets horrible, horrendous around this time. And then the other day, I think 2 days ago, if not three, there was a really bad semi accident that would happen at where is 11. It happened at 11 o'clock. We were still stuck in traffic all the way up until 5. So it was terrible. Maybe
And
even 6.
what parking lot are you in?
I'm in Schuster 1, so I have a pretty good one.
Oh, you're right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you
Connor is
something I
pretty
found out
far.
about Connor. I don't know if this applies to you, Jesse. You're not driving right now. Okay, but Danica, maybe. I don't know how your situation is. But Connor's parking spot is right next to the shuttle. and he's able to get the shuttle and go literally drop him off in front of the building he has to be at to start his day. So he's going to look into getting that. Now the timing has to be worked out, right? Because it takes forever to come around. He said
It takes about 30 minutes.
Yeah, so
to
it
do
comes
the
every
whole
30
route.
minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Connor knows this or if you guys know this or not, but with the shuttle, there is an app, and then you
Yeah.
can
So
track
you can
it.
see the live. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
he looked at it. He's like, I can walk rather than
I
waiting
used
the
to do
time.
that. I used to do that with my first storm. The shuttle would come all the way from all the way up in Sunbowl, come all the way down, but eventually I started just walking. It was like a 30-minute walk.
A 30-minute walk. Jesus.
For yeah, but I
That's
got
almost
I
a
actually
mile and a
started to
half.
enjoy.
How big is the campus?
Well, this is from the dorm that's by Mesa and
Oh, you're at
Sunbowl.
Minor Village.
Yeah,
Or
that
all the way
was
out there.
that was Minor Canyon, and then I moved to
Minor
Minor
Canyon is
Village, which is
cool.
like right on campus,
Yeah,
I
that's right.
guess.
That's right. Oh, so yeah, walk. Yeah, but the shuttle goes too, right? You got to just make sure you get up on time and get the shuttle at the right time.
Mhm.
At least that one has a couple shuttles moving. Green, I think, only has one.
Yeah, the campus route, that one is horrendous.
But right now, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about how you guys are balancing school and your life when we come back. All right, you guys?
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
For some, serving means deploying overseas to make the world a safer place. But for many men and women in the National Guard and Reserve, serving happens closer to home.
The vast majority of New Orleans, Louisiana is underwater.
We're starting to get some reports of fire in Paradise.
Wherever you served, you've earned the right to mental health support. Go to BeThereForVeterans.com to learn how VA supports members of the National Guard and Reserve.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, and we're back. Now, what I do want to talk about is what you guys have been doing while you're going to school. Because I know the first week of school is just hectic for everybody. Learning your routine, learning where to go, making friends in class. The school events, like Jessie couldn't be here last week because she had a Bearcat, what do you call it, celebration?
It was like a kickoff for freshmen.
Okay. And Connor, you had something like that too, right?
We had a gold rush. Yeah, miners gold rush.
So, I know you guys have been busy, so who wants to go first? Okay, Danica, I'm going to save you for last because you have a lot of stuff going on with your student body government and all that. So I'll let you go last, but who wants to go first among the three of you? Jesse? All right.
Wait, what was the question again?
What have you been doing in the first week of school outside of school?
Before like classes, I hang out with my friends a lot, like my roommates, and then like I met like other people with that Bearcat kickoff. I don't want like a big friend group. I have like my friend group from like home, and then I have my roommates here. So like I go to classes, and then I know if I come back to my room, I'd sleep. So I've been chilling honestly in the in the library by myself, getting my work done. And honestly, like I realized that just being by myself is like really good because I can like do my work. I can like spend my own time, debrief with my own. But I am joining the Flocorico team, and that's gonna take up most of my time from like 5 to 7, like on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm really excited for that because I'm able to stay busy, stay active, and like hang out with the new friend group.
Now time out. You've been in Flocorico and dance, which you guys are amazing at, but you're on the Flocorico team? Like there's an actual team?
Yeah, it's like a club. And when I found out Sam Houston had it, I was like, yes. So I was able to like do that. So
So it's a club.
Yeah, so it's a club. It's an organization.
Well, yeah, okay, but I'm saying it's not like you're going to be competing in Folklorico, right? That's what I was thinking, like a team.
Actually, they do have a competition team. Like
Really?
yeah, They just brought it back in like 2023.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, let's tap those feet and get on over there.
Right.
You know, you're an amazing dancer. If you make sure you get like advice I give Connor, first semester just get settled in and get used to things, and then if you want to go get involved in stuff, go for it. Right?
Yeah.
Who's next? Kennedy, Connor?
I mean, I'll go. So, just my first week, I've been hanging out with um my friends, just like a short group of friends from Burgess and Hanks, and we. It's because so first I have my friend Ethan. He's in my class, so I hang out with him for a little bit before I go into my other classes. But I usually hang out with my friends like Jenna and Noelia, which Jesse and everybody else knows. They've been friends with them for like years now, so I've gotten to know them. But I tend to stick with like one friend group if I can, like once a day or something, because I have people from like different schools and all that. So I try to hang out with them like equally, if that makes sense.
Okay, you try to spread the Connor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't say it like that, but yeah.
You said you want to talk about something else. So what was that?
What I wanted to talk about before the break, since we are talking about like our parking, we forgot one detail about my parking.
Oh, that's right.
So I park by John Haskins, right? Like all the way up Glory Road by Oregon and North Stanton, right? And in that parking lot that I have my permit in, if there's an event going on at John Haskins, they take that parking for all the trucks and all that.
Yep.
So was it Thursday, right?
Yes.
Thursday, Kelly Uchi performed at John Haskins, and they took the trucks from like since 8 in the morning. Hi, it's not Rocky.
Oh, hey. All right.
And so I got there at like 8 because my class was at 9, and they had it all blocked off. So because I go by Oregon, like on the main street by Mesa and all that, to like go towards the Union Building, because it was like easier for me than going down the big hill that I usually go down. But since they had it blocked off, bless you,
Excuse me.
I had to go into the Sunbowl parking, like in the like middle of it, and I had to walk the hill again.
Yeah. Well,
which
lesson learned. We have to find out when we're having concerts there, so we can definitely take it off, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, even then, they get there at like 7, even though the concert's at like 9.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I forgot to look at the permits.
Well, yeah, we're gonna definitely have to look into that.
Yeah.
How about you, Kennedy? What's going on with you? First week of school, what have you been doing?
So I know I registered late because of like changing my major and everything. So I think I registered like a week and like 2 days before school really started. So I knew like majority of the classes were gonna be taken up, which like it was like I was like just curious to see which ones are open. But I got lucky with the schedule I have. So I only go to school Monday and Wednesday. I'm off Thursday, Tuesday and Friday. But I start at 10:30, go all the way until 2:50, and then I get a small break. I go back at 4:30 to 5:50. So on those days that I'm off, I guess like not going to school, I go to work. So I just kind of like either like in a sense I go school, work, and then work if I have to the rest of the week. It's not
Alright.
really too bad a schedule.
Well, try to register early. Are you gonna register early for next semester? Are you able to keep those same hours? Or are you gonna try to get different hours?
I'm not too sure. Again, it really depends on the classes that are available. Have to do with professors that are like good or bad with their reviews. I have one professor that's like first day he told us, he goes, my class is going to be so hard. I recommend you drop it right now. And if I see you guys back in here Wednesday, then you guys are some sort of like psychos for staying in here. My class is not like traditional classes. I have a different style of teaching that you guys are not going to like. So no one knows if it's an act or if it's like really that hard. So we just gotta wait and see on that. But yeah, I don't. He was
That's
like he
that's
recommend.
that's one way to weed out those students that don't really want to do anything. You
Yeah,
know.
and then when that first class ended on Monday, everyone scattered off, and like I could hear like groups of people telling like they're like, oh my god, like are you gonna drop the class? And then everyone's like, no, like are you gonna drop it? They're like, no. So I think it's just like a ploy, if anything.
You know, my professor rating is very low, and yeah, but the reason it's low is there's been 2 reviews. One person says I teach great, I have great classes, I give great education, I tell stories to apply it to the class. And another person says he doesn't teach nothing, all he does is talk. So it really depends on what students I get, right? You know, I am easy, right? But I'm not um a difficult teacher. It's one of those things that I got to think about when I'm teaching. But now let's talk about Danica. Danica, what have you been doing? Your clubs and everything.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I only have in-person classes on Wednesdays. So one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And Thursdays I have a Zoom class, and then I have 2 fully synchronous classes. And then only one of those classes out of all 3 of them, I mean, out of all like 3 ones that I have to attend, requires attendance. So, I mean, I do plan on going to class. I'm not saying I'm going to ditch it. Like, I'm saying the requirement for attendance isn't as demanding, which kind of works with my organization schedule because I do have to do like office work and everything. So something that I found that helps me is I try to get out of my dorm as much as possible when doing work because whenever I am in my dorm, there's a higher chance that I get distracted or I won't take a nap or things like that. So this first week, I've been, kind of avoiding my dorm almost.
Okay. Oh.
So I either go like to the library. Monica works at the campus Starbucks, so I'll be like working in Starbucks while she's working. I mean, what would you say is like your how do you balance an on-campus job and schoolwork?
I have I have no class on Thursday, so I also have no work on Thursday. So I'll either do my work on Thursday or in the weekend when I work less.
Okay. So you guys only had like one class in person?
I have 2, but technically one because I don't know. It's kind of odd. Yeah.
I mean, you could take that from here and save your tuition and everything. I mean, your dorm money and everything. Like, why'd you have to leave us?
Because I don't prefer online classes. I wish I could have all of them in person. That's what was available when I was registering, especially for the classes that I'm taking. Since a lot of them are year 4 courses, there's either less people enrolled or they're like really low enrollment. I had one of my classes that was in person has only 10 people enrolled. So, and then another class that I have is only a 7-week course, so even that one's not going to be as long.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I mean, it was just the first week, so I'm still balancing things. But I just know that one of the things that I do want to implement this year is doing work outside of my dorm zone. I don't want to associate like school and home.
Right.
Not that it's home, but like I don't want to be doing homework where I eat. I mean where I sleep.
Well, that's one thing. I call it compartmentalization. Your word for the day, compartmentalization, is separating your lives. Okay. I have my quiz stuff that I do, my pub quizzes, and everyone's invited to that. Candy, you girls everyone here has come to my shows. They're lots of fun and everything. I have my teaching job, and those students will reach out to me when they need something. Last night I picked up Connor after the football game, and a kid texted me at like 11 o'clock at night, right? 11:15, and I was like, I asked you to text me between these hours. This is not appropriate. This could have been sent in an email. Please don't do it again. You know, and not to be rude or anything, but I mean, I have I put down 9 o'clock as my cutoff because I have a life after 9 o'clock. Don't be texting me before that because I'm going to do something personal. I'm not teaching. You know, wasn't rude or anything. The kid understood, but um, it's one of those things that think about it and you know separate your life. And one thing I told Connor is, you're going to school, go to class. When you have a break, I want you to eat if you can, because there was one day he doesn't have a lot of time to eat. Is that Monday or Monday and Tuesday?
It's Monday and Tuesday.
Monday and Tuesday. He doesn't have a lot of chance to eat. But the rest of the days I tell him eat, you know, or if you get done with school and you have no homework or nothing, you know, come home and we can eat there. But having a space to go do homework in puts you in the mindset to do that homework. Reading, like here's I'm going to tell you all the story. I think this is one of my funniest stories as a counselor. I had a soldier come in to see me, and it's going to explain what I'm referring to. And he talks about he can't sleep good. He's having some issues sleeping. Well, there's a thing called sleep hygiene. You know, we have personal hygiene. You know, we shower, we brush our teeth, we comb our hairs, that kind of stuff, right? Wash our clothes. But there's also sleep hygiene. How do you take care of yourself in sleep? Well, here's one thing: don't watch TV in bed. Don't eat or snack in bed. Don't read in bed. You know, the bed is for sleeping only, right? Sleeping only. So I told the soldier, I said, like that, your body knows when it lays down, it's meant to go to sleep. Now, I'm not talking about getting on the phone for a few minutes before you go to sleep or scrolling and just because you got nothing to do and you fall asleep, you know. But if you're trying to go to sleep and you can fall asleep, don't play on your phone. Don't read. Don't watch TV. Don't do any of that. I need a TV on to fall asleep, but I put on something that I don't care about just so I can have some background noise. But anyway, I digress. Back to the soldier. So the soldier goes, you know, he goes away for a week, comes back for his appointment in a week, but this time he brings his wife. And I was like, okay, you know, so the wife's like, I want to talk to you. That's why I'm here. I'm like, okay, you know, you're welcome. Come on into the session, you know. We sat down and she says, I want to know what you told him last week. And I said, the bed's for sleeping. Don't do anything else in it. Don't read, don't eat, don't watch TV, nothing like that. And she says, did you say you couldn't have sex in the bed? And I said, what? And she goes, yeah, he told me we couldn't do anything in the bed but sleep. I said, so what's been going on? She's like, oh, we've been doing it everywhere else around the house. But it's like, what do you mean you couldn't do it? You know, like, yes, you could. That's what the bed's for. You know what I mean? I meant like sleeping hygiene. I wasn't talking about personal life or anything. But that was a really awkward moment for me because I laughed. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world that he took my words so literally. I just didn't. I assumed he understood. You know, the bed's you can mess around in the bed, but no. He told his wife, "No more, nothing in the bed," and I found that hilarious. I really did. I felt bad, but I found that really hilarious. But compartmentalizing is, you know, your bed's for sleeping, your kitchen's for eating, your desk is for homework. You know, and the girls can tell you, Connor and I, we don't eat at the dinner table, right? Do we? Right, girls? We don't eat at the dinner table. We eat on the couch with our TV trays, watching TV, right? Why do we do that? They say at the dinner table you have to talk, but it's only Connor and me. So wherever we're sitting, we're going to be talking to each other anyway, and we watch a movie together. That's sort of like a quality time. Would you agree with me on that? We watch a TV show or a movie or something.
Just something to eat with. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I get that.
But you know, you want to have your house separated to where, or your room, you know, this is where I sleep, this is where I eat, this is where I do my homework. And you train yourself into that so that you can be compartmentalized and you do better in school. You do better by having a dedicated studies place. Connor had to do some homework. What did you do on Friday? The test? You had an online class and you had a test and stuff?
I had a pre-cal test, yeah.
Where'd you go for that?
I went to undergraduate building because I had rhetoric and composition. So like upstairs at 2:30. So I just went downstairs into one of the chairs because there was some space.
So like the lobby area?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that private?
No.
No.
Not at all.
Do you have a desk?
Mm.
Then you're working on your lap, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
There's like a little footrest thing I could like use as a stand.
Okay. All right.
Because it's big enough to fit like 4 people's feet.
All right.
So
you have something.
yeah.
All right. What about you girls? Like, where's your study space? Connor's learning where to go. He uses the lobby right now.
I really love the library. Like, it's the cool thing about my library is that it's 3 levels. Well, it's 4 levels, but like the one's like underground. But like each level of the floor is like the quietness. So you can go like on the main floor, and that's like where the computer lab is. Like we can print for free too. That's what's good. So like everyone's printing there, everyone's like using the computer labs, and then you also have like a like a workshop, like study academic center workshop.
Jesse,
And like that's
Jesse, by the way, Jesse, by the way, it's not that it's free, it's just it's part of your tuition.
Listen, yeah, but some places,
Well, hold on.
some
Time out.
places
Time
do
out.
charge.
No, let me say something about that. There is literally, you have a print quota that you're allowed to print for free. After that, you start getting charged. What that number is, I don't know, because it's different for everybody, every campus. But yeah, it is part of your tuition, Danica. Very true. But you also have a certain amount you can print for free. It's not just unlimited printing. And make sure you only print school stuff. Don't print personal stuff on there, because they keep records of everything that gets printed.
Yeah. But so like there, and they have like an academic center where like tutoring is, and then you go up to the second floor. These are where people are like doing like study sessions like with their group and everything. But then you have like the top floor, and that's where I go because I just put in my music and I like but I feel like I'm being so loud, like pulling out a chair. But it's like it's like walls around, like single chairs like all around like the perimeter, and it's really comfortable though. I really like, because I really actually get work done there.
That's good. How about you, Kennedy? Have you been going to do anything?
I think she went to go do something.
She went to go do something. Okay. How about you, Danica? Where do you go?
Sorry. What's it called? So I had to go to the gym real quick. So the thing about like, I used to have like different spots all around the campus. When I was still in engineering, we had what's called like there's a tech cafe, and there's the metallurgy lounge. Do some stuff there. The library also, like Jesse said, it has like an underground level. I love that one. But like it really just depends where I'm at. So like yesterday, my boyfriend, he had a show with his band. So while they were at the drummer's house practicing, I was on the couch like writing notes for like a class, just like to catch up sort of.
Well, your situation is a little different. You know, you have someone that goes and does activities and you go with them. You have a job, so you can't just sit at the college and work all the time. You have to find out where you can go. And that's one of the challenges being a working student. You know, being an adult that goes back to college later. You know, you're not old, but I'm saying, imagine if you were 30 years old and you had a family. You had kids you had to take care of. You throw college in there. Having to cook dinner. You know, if your spouse isn't helping you with that, or your kids don't help you with that, you have to do all that. So it's one of the challenges of going to school and having that, you know. So, but we're going to go to break for a little bit, and when we come back, we're going to wrap it up and talk about everything that we talked about today with the digital footprint.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Still see the spray painted stop sign when I roll down 79. The drag marks behind that mini mart ain't faded after all this time. to California's got a boy with a rebel heart. Stories in every small town scar that by a good old boy taking it way too far. Somebody had to drink too much and crank Hank way too loud. Somebody had to always stand up to the guy with a tendency to run his mouth. The straight pipe Chevy had to run these streets like Bo and Luke in the General Lee. Yeah, somebody had to, and that somebody was me. There's still ruts on Ridge Hill Road, and muddy cans we tossed out the window. String bikini on a limb by a swimming hole. That's a story that'll never be told. Cigarette butts in a busted bottle, sitting by that old burn pile. This town was nothing without us, tearing it up every once in a while. Somebody had to drink too much and crank Hank way too loud. Somebody had to always stand up to the guy with a tendency to run his mouth. The straight pipe Chevy had to run these streets like Bo and Luke in the General Lee. Yeah, somebody had to, and that somebody was me. Yeah, somebody had to get a 4.0 full ride, whole life planned out on track. Somebody had to make a touchdown pass when state front page name written in black. But somebody had to drink too much and crank Hank way too loud. Somebody had to always stand up to the guy with a tendency to run his mouth. The straight pipe Chevy had to run these streets like Bo and Luke in the General Lee. Yeah, somebody had to, and that somebody was me. That somebody was me.
All right, we are back. So we've been talking about digital footprint and how responsible media use is something that we all need to have. So that's what I want to ask the girls right now. I say ask the girls because Connor's already participated in this. When you use social media, what do you guys think is something you need to be aware of from a girl's point of view? You have anything you want to add to that? How to use social media appropriately? Any comments, concerns?
I mean, I feel like it's the same for everybody, regardless of whether like male or female. I wouldn't say necessarily just from a girl's point of view, as opposed to like a man's point of view. And like, yes, there's like things, shouldn't be posting regardless. Digital footprint is very real, especially when it comes to employment. They do like background checks and they can see like stuff you've like an old tweet can ruin your future and within a matter of seconds. Cancel culture is like a huge thing.
Yep.
So like I said, really be careful.
Kenny, you've been over to my shows for the quiz. You've been over to my shows at the quizzes. Every now and then I do get a little inappropriate, right? But most of the time I try to keep it professional and everything because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And, it's one of those things when you ask yourself, what should I do? What should I not do? And it's important to understand that, the social media from a girl's point of view, the reason I ask that is because, we're guys, we tend to be a little more inappropriate. We tend to be more of the funny stuff. We don't really care about what people think. Girls tend to think a little bit more about that than guys do. And I don't mean we're different per se, but women tend to be more appropriate than men. But at the same time, if you hang around with a lot of women, they're always having issues. They're more aware of stuff than we are. Right? Would you agree with me on that or not?
Yes.
And then Danica, I know Danica has a story. Her friend will post stuff on social media and say that's not appropriate, or like whatever they're referring to. Be like, I can't believe you're talking about that online, and I can't believe this and that. But then they get back together with the person, and they're talking and whatnot, right? Danica, you had that happen? Okay, I guess she's not here. Did everybody leave? Okay, Jesse.
Hello.
Oh, she's not at it to say she left and came
Oh,
back. Got it. All right.
she's just here.
All right. So yeah, what I was saying, Danica, I don't know if you could hear me, was you have that situation where you have a friend that's always posting stuff inappropriate and causing problems for you. Because she vents with you and everything. That's great. But if she puts it on social media and then gets back together with her friend, and that's just not good history on social media. That's what I'm referring to.
Are you talking about the two
No names.
lesbians?
No names.
I know
Who?
I'm not
What?
saying names. The two lesbians, those ones?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, a big part of social media. I don't know what you guys are talking about. So I had to log out, but I mean, people only see what you want them to see on social media, so it creates this unrealistic reality. Um, you're only gonna post what you want people to see. Of course, you're not gonna post that you're having relationship problems. You're only gonna post when you guys go on dates. But in real life, she was like talking about this whole other stuff that doesn't really match up with what's displayed on social media. So I feel like that's a lot of people prioritize social media, or if it's not on the gram, it didn't happen, or hold on, let me take a picture so I can post it later. I feel like that, instead of living in the moment, it's a big part of like why people. I mean, it's like contribute to a lot of mental health problems and just societal problems in general. I've tried to lessen my use of social media in the past year, so I don't know. Sometimes I'll randomly just go off the grid, and I don't really have a problem with that. I mean,
I think that's
like
a good idea.
that what?
I think that's a good idea to run just every now and then, just get off the grid and get off and do that.
Again, like I don't think that anyone needs to be knowing what's going on in my life. I don't think there's no need to like display my full life on a camera. I mean, to each their own. If people want to do that, that's fully up to them. But I don't think it's something that should be prioritized. I think it's a great tool to get connected and stay up to date with things. But there should also be a balance and boundaries of where and when.
Yeah, one thing, talking about boundaries, one thing a lot of people do is they post a picture of them and their girlfriend or boyfriend, right, as a profile pic. And then when you break up, you change your profile pic. So that lets the whole world know you're single again. And everyone gets hit up, right? When I do stuff like that, yeah, I totally take them off my profile pic. And I have friends message me and go, "What happened to such and such?" I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. I've had a few people that have reached out and be like, "Oh, you're single again?" Yeah, maybe we can get together. Oh, okay, let's do that. So sometimes you can use social media and you put it out there that, hey, I'm breaking up, but to put a text out there and say, I'm gonna forgive me for my long rant and just vent your whole story on there. If you don't want people to know that, don't put it out there. And one thing I'm going to talk about is after Hunter's mom passed away, her family had issues with me, and it is what it is, right? But I made a rant on social media, and I put it out there to everybody. I said, because people have been asking me what's going on, this and that. So I just decided to tell the whole story on social media. Now it's private for my friends only, right? But I was okay with them reading it. I wanted to share the story with those friends, but I made sure it was a private post, not a public post. And it's one of those things that I appreciate, your points of view, you guys. It's one of those things like Connor, thank you for talking about your social media and stuff. Um, the last thing I want to talk about with social media at college is how do you guys use it to communicate with the college or the students yourselves? Like for example, we have the Tejano report at my college where it sends out a message and tells you what's going on campus. There's a flood in building 2000, whatever. You know, classes are canceled in that building or whatever. Do you guys have anything like that at your campuses?
I have it's like emails. So it's called Cat Safe. So if like there's like a severe weather storm coming, or if there's like an event that like a robbery that happens, they do email, and at the bottom they tell you like go inside, or they tell us this is like nowhere near the campus, but they do send emails out, and then like they also text, and I think my mom gets them too. And for like communication wise, because I know like one of my suite mates doesn't have Instagram, so we have we text on like a group chat on Messenger, but then a lot of like the school uses like GroupMe. I haven't used GroupMe in a while since I moved in here. Now I have like 4 groups on GroupMe, so that's how we communicate like class wise.
All right, that's good. Like Connor had a Facebook group an Instagram group for his school. How about you, Candy? Anything? Danica?
The Danica one needs to go, but so we have minor alert.
All
I
right.
don't know if it's backwards or not, but
No, it's good.
yeah, okay. So that's the equivalent of I guess whatever Jesse's was, and then you said your Tejano report. So we have that one. I've
Tejano.
seen in my past couple years, I've seen like, oh, like,
Guys, hold on. All right.
oh, sorry. One instance has been like I think a stabbing happened in one of the parking garages or robberies, like Jesse said. I've seen all sorts of stuff. Um, they do send emails as well, and then in cases of like, oh, school closed today, I've seen like the UTEP account. They'll post like, oh, gas leak in the or like
Right.
construction in the business building, for example. So all classes are gone for today.
Now, one thing I want to mention, I laugh about this because your dad and I, we like to listen to the Scanner Radio. It's a hobby of ours. If you guys have never listened to Scanner Radio, there's a Scanner app you can have on your phone, and you can hear the police, news, fire department all talking about stuff. And one day or one night, we were there, and we heard about this mass situation where I don't know if it was a shooting, and people were being evacuated. This was a meeting area. This is where they were rejoining the families. And here in El Paso, we had the Walmart shooting, which is a tragedy that happened on August 3rd. But we heard this. We're like, it happened again. Oh my God. And then we texted you, Kennedy, are you okay? Are you all right? And you're like, yeah, why? I'm like, are you okay? Yeah, what's going on? And I forgot someone else was texting, and they were like, oh my God, something's happening at UTEP. UTEP has sent out a message that said, it's a training exercise. Well, your dad and I, we missed that part of the message, right? So we just and yeah, so it is what it is, right? But that you help save us because you had the information for that. So thank you for sharing that. And Danica, Jesse, you guys, appreciate everything you guys have done coming in. Hopefully we can talk next week at the same time and everything. But next week we're going to be talking about the high school playbook, which is a grade by grade guide to success. Because you think about it, your attitude as a freshman changes until a senior. Would you guys agree with that? Your attitude as a freshman changes until you're a senior.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think people grow up like not mature, but like they realize a lot of things when they were a freshman to senior now. Like I can say I've changed like tremendously, like with my like work, my attitude towards like school, and like just me, myself, and I.
Yeah, and that's going to be what we're going to talk about next week. So for those of you who are listening, you tune in next week. You can catch us on mbrradio.us. And for everyone else, that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful week. See you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Hot Takes with the Murph Man. Your listenership truly means a lot to us. For the latest hot takes and much, much more, be sure to visit purehottakes.com. And don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms as Hot Takes with the Murph Man to stay connected and join the conversation. My take is this show is over. Thanks for listening, and I'll have more for you next time.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.u.